Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are recording this of an evening for a change due to various commitments. Claire's are paid for because she's still in gainful employment. Mine's just because I'm busy doing stuff. Welcome to the Ladies Wot Pod episode 14. For those of you who know us know that I can't speak sometimes, and that I'm Liz Saunders, and my partner in crime, as it's been described, is Claire Jones. Both of us are, basically a bit batty about Northampton Saints. Been following them forever, and started this pod because we were fed up with Saints not being mentioned by other mainstream media. So, Claire, if you'd like to just introduce yourself a bit.
Hello, I'm Claire Jones. I live just outside Cambridge, and usually you will find me at the gardens with a camera stuck to my face and wearing a red hat, because I'm one of the club photographers. And as Liz says, I've been going to the gardens for many a year, like a homing pigeon. Have to go back.
Man and boy, yes, yeah. So this pod is slightly different because with the Saints big boys not playing at the moment as Saints, some of them are obviously playing under guises, we thought we'd take it on the road. So we had a guest in the studio in his own home last week, but we've gone Ladies Wot Pod on tour this week, and we have a segment where we're talking to Mr. McKechnie, BBC Radio Northampton's very own Graham McKechnie. It should have been audio and video, but Claire, what's happened to the audio and video?
Well, we've got beautiful audio. You'll be stunned by the quality of it because it's brilliant. But obviously, I need to go back to video school because obviously I pushed a button. Although there is a brilliant bit where Graham stares into the camera. I'm not going to get too close, as close as Graham did, going, well, it is recording. Yes, sadly, it was recording in portrait mode, so we could basically see a bit of a desk. So, yes. So sorry about that, but do listen to it because it's fascinating, isn't it? We put Graham the other side of the desk. We put Graham the other side of the desk. So do enjoy this interview because it's Graham as you've never heard him before. And including a question from his old friend, Lennie Newman. Yeah. And you'll be amazed at the answer. Yeah. It wasn't what Lennie would be expecting, I can tell you. Anyway, do enjoy it. And then come back and have a listen to us. Yes. Witter on, as usual. Yeah. Rambling.
Good afternoon, everybody, our loyal followers, listeners, and everybody else. We are breaking new ground today. We are Ladies Wot Pod on tour. And we've come on tour all the way to BBC Radio Northampton because I'm quite a decent sort of person. I'm quite happy to have Graham McKechnie on my podcast, unlike Graham McKechnie when I was doing somebody else's radio programme, told me to get off his radio station.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. Sent me a message, much to the hysteria of everybody else. But I'm a better person. Anyway, Graham, welcome to being grilled by the ladies.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. But no, we're looking forward to it.
So, yes, thank you, Graham. And thank you. Graham's had to rearrange his day today. He's had an interesting day.
Always, every day is interesting. Yes. It's all part of the fun.
Thank you for what you've done. So we're going to start off with a subject that's close to your heart. And you'd be surprised if we didn't ask you this question. So where does your love of rugby union come from?
Well, I suppose most people, it's family. My father and my grandfather, it was always rugby really for them, first and foremost. And I grew up in the Northwest where rugby union's a real niche sport. So football and rugby league were far, far bigger. So actually I grew up loving all sports and that's still the case. Cricket's probably, I hate to say it, cricket's probably my main love in many ways. Rugby's very close behind. But in terms of I still play cricket, I've always loved cricket. But rugby is very, very close alongside it. I enjoy all sports, but as I say, through the family, my dad, my grandfather, and then at school, it was rugby union that I played at school. Even though it was a Lancashire school, we were a bastion of rugby union. So that's where it came from, really.
Yes, Lennie, we did talk to Lennie. More of that
Oh,
shortly.
yeah.
Yes, and he does describe you as the poshest.
So he says.
He actually wants proof that you are from Lancashire.
Hey, look, I'm wearing a top that says Lancashire on it. There you
Well,
are.
that
That's
doesn't
my
prove
evidence.
anything. Well, actually, it does, because why you wouldn't otherwise. Actually.
And Dr. Jones, actually,
Yeah.
why not rugby league?
Well, I used to go and watch rugby league. I did. I mean, I watched everything. So I had a friend at school who was Rochdale Hornets supporter. So we'd go to Scotland to watch Rochdale Hornets. They were good in the 90s as well. So love rugby league. I think it's a fantastic sport. I'm not one of these people at all who.
It doesn't have to be either.
It doesn't have to be. And I think, if I'm absolutely honest,
my grandfather.
Yeah.
Well, to be totally honest, I think, and I'm saying this as a northerner, I think it's more rugby league who, has a problem with union.
I think it is now.
But I think rugby league, union has learnt so much from league in terms of the skill and the defence. Of course, we're seeing it now with Saints, Lee Radford coming over. But I think rugby league's a fantastic sport. I've always preferred union, and that's because I played it, and that's the main reason, really.
Dr. Jones will appreciate that. He lived in Rochdale for many years. So
great place.
Yes.
Yeah, great place.
There you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Off to a flyer.
That's very good. So, how did you arrive at Radio Northampton? Could you talk us through your professional journey, as it were?
Well, it was never intentional, really. I've kind of drifted around a bit, or did in the early years. So after school, I think when I was at school, actually, I had a vague idea I wanted to be in sports journalism. And I was put off at a careers evening. I remember speaking to a journalist who was from the local paper. She was terrible. She'd said, because I said I'd like to be a sports journalist, and she basically said, "Well, doesn't every young boy want to?" And it put me off totally, and I forgot about it. I went off to university, studied history, so nothing to do with journalism. After university, I had a number of jobs. I worked in PR. For an agency, and as while I was working at this agency, that I used to sit there using a website called Cricinfo quite a lot, just to check the cricket scores, just to keep up to date with cricket news. And after a couple of years, I contacted them and said, "Are you recruiting?" And they said they were. So I went to work for them initially as a media person, as their PR person. But I started to do reports and interviews, and that was really the move over. And then, fortunately for me, a job came up in the BBC about 20 odd years ago at Radio Berkshire, which is where I started. And I went across, got the job, and that was it. Started from there.
Because we first met you at London Irish.
Yeah, you will have done. Yeah, that's right. I had 10 years covering London Irish, which I loved. Fantastic club. Very, very different from covering Saints. It was, I suppose, when I first started covering Irish, they were in a charmingly amateurish in many ways, and I mean that as a compliment. It was still a relatively new professional sport. It was, I suppose, 7 years old, and so from a media perspective, access was so open, and they had a brilliant media manager called Paddy Lennon, who's fabulous at his job. But it was very open, and that was the style back then. Coaches would chat to you. It was very old school. But the main difference is that I spent 10 years covering London Irish, and I never really met anyone who was a London Irish supporter in the community. And you talk to the London Irish players. I'm still good friends with Declan Danaher. I remember Declan saying, he's a legend at London Irish, massive figure there. And he said he'd never been recognised in the streets.
Wow.
Whereas in Northampton, well, if Saints players walk down Abington Street, they'll get followed. In my village in Northamptonshire, most of my neighbours are season ticket holders, and most of them then they've got to know what I do and want to talk to me, and I love it. That's what's great about Northamptonshire.
Yeah,
and why I'm very happy that I've made this my home for as long as I have now.
So how did you end up here from Radio Berkshire then?
It's luck to a degree, not entirely. I mean, you make your own luck, don't you? But my wife's worked in Northampton for many years. We were kind of commuting. I was in Reading, she was in Northampton. And so we were living in Oxford, right bang in the middle. And I always had my eye on Northamptonshire and Reading, Northampton, largely because of the rugby, really. Because there aren't many stations, local radio stations, where rugby is such a big deal. There's Gloucester, Exeter, well, Devon now. I suppose Leicester, because it's split between the two. So I really had my eye on one of those stations, and Northampton was perfect. It was a real stroke of luck. The stars aligned when the job came up, and I was extremely pleased to come over here.
And cricket on the doorstep as well. So.
From a sporting perspective, look, Berkshire was great because we had Reading Football Club in the Premier League, and we had loads of horse racing with Royal Ascot and Lambourne in the west of the county, Newbury. But you come over here. Well, London Irish was a distant second to Reading football. But in Northampton, you've got Saints, which is obviously the biggest story. The Cobblers, which I love as well. Great club. A lot of time for the Cobblers. The cricket. You've got Silverstone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect patch. For a smallish county,
it packs a lot in, doesn't it?
It's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I was going to say, just if you could let your colleagues on Look East know that the people play rugby over here.
Don't start me. James Burridge is fighting the good fight over there, believe me.
Yeah, well, we do feel for him every time it goes down to trampolining and stuff. Saints get a mention. So you're happily settled here.
Well, I've been here 12, 13 years.
We've not managed to get rid of it. We've tried.
Yeah. No, I'm not going anywhere. No, it's great. It's a great, lovely part of the world. Yeah.
I like it as well because nobody knows where it is. So where do you come from? Northamptonshire, and they look vaguely blank.
Oh, absolutely right. People, before I came here, I'd never really been to Northamptonshire other than Franklin's Gardens.
Yeah.
It's odd like that. But I remember Shahid Afridi, the cricketer, the great Pakistani cricketer, signing for Northamptonshire for the T20 about 7 or 8 years ago, and I went over to interview him down at the county ground and. One of the questions you're bound to ask is why have you, what's brought you to Northamptonshire? And, normally they've got, I've always dreamt of playing here or anything else. The best the Shahid Afridi came up with was, it's halfway between Leicester and London.
I was going to say Birmingham and London.
Yeah, he said, I've got loads of friends in Leicester and loads of friends in North London. So that's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah. That's probably as fair as any.
Yeah, we took it.
So... All right. So, we know you're a man of many sports. Though.
Yeah.
So, what's your favourite sporting memory?
Oh.
You're not allowed to ask. We're going to ask the rugby question second. So,
right. So, not a rugby.
Not at the moment.
This is as an individual. When you can't sleep and you're trying to think of things and you go, "Ooh, I remember when."
Yes. The highlight.
Now you're asking because there's so much. My life is defined by sporting moments. It's punctuated by these moments. And I think it's got to be, I suppose my earliest sporting memory, really, my formative years were the mid-'80s. So the 1985 Ashes were massive for me. And then the 1986 World Cup, which England did pretty well in. And I remember the Six Nations in 86 as well, when Scotland hammered England, much to the delight of my Scottish family. But the favourite memory, he's picking out, you want me to say my favourite, and it's probably the Ashes in 2005.
Yes.
It was just, I had waited so long, as a cricket nut, and all my friends, we played back then we played a lot of cricket together, and we had all dreamt of the day we'd gone to test matches, we had watched cricket, and we had watched, from 1989 onwards, Australia just wiping the floor, and there was a time, you think back now, it's hard to remember, but there's a time you thought it would never happen. Yeah. You thought we would never beat Australia again. Yeah. And 2005, it was just magical. It was totally magical. And to be, with friends. I remember the Oval Test that evening. We had fish and chips and champagne just to celebrate. Something we just didn't actually think we'd ever live to see, which seems silly now. But it was the perfect summer. It was the perfect summer of cricket.
Yeah.
I know exactly where I was. I was at the Thistle Hotel at Heathrow, and I had a celebratory glass of wine.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Because I was working at British Airways.
But, I can remember every test match where I was. I was at Old Trafford. I was there watching it. But I remember the Lord's Test was under the shadow of the bomb. Do you remember the London bombings?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And then we had the Edgbaston Test. I remember watching, it was pre-children, pre-marriage. So it was largely, a group of male friends watching the cricket together. And it was just fun. It was carefree. And, I'm not complaining about my life.
It dominated everything at the time. Because
it's terrestrial TV.
Yeah. But I remember, BA's headquarters, Waterside, has loads of tellies. Even now it does, apparently. So wherever you walked in Waterside, you keep an eye on the cricket. So if you're going to a meeting, you basically work from TV to TV to keep an eye on what was going on.
Cricket still has that ability. And I know football and increasingly rugby kind of overshadow cricket, but I do think cricket's still deeply ingrained in our national psyche. I think so. So when something like the Ashes happens, people do take notice.
And people, even now, if there's a test match that's an exciting test match, people talk about in strangers who sort of say, any idea what the score
and
is.
It's why it's why things like Radders does our commentary, online commentary. It does incredibly well because people will follow the game, even if they don't go to the county ground.
Yeah.
They will follow the game, and it's like, as a cricketer, as a cricket lover, it drives me mad because I know how amazing it is as a sport. And you think more people should be seeing this. More kids should be watching this. Because we're here to talk about rugby as well, but cricket is the ultimate sport. It's such a great test of character. You think more people need to know about this. It drives me mad.
Yeah. Well, I like cricket.
Yeah. And we're still talking about that test match in India.
Oh, well, wasn't that a good one?
Yes.
Yeah. Even though we lost the second test.
Yeah. So, rugby. So we now want you to pick your favourite.
As a commentator.
Oh, and you know what I'm going to say already.
Yes, we do.
It's easy because it's Saints Tigers in 2014, the semi-final. Yeah, it was the most astounding game I've ever seen. And I still... Well, we were all at a dinner last night with the 10-year reunion dinner. And so I'll repeat what I said then. I remember that game far more clearly than the final.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a couple of people either side of me at the dinner last night who hadn't been around Saints 10 years ago. And they were just asking me about my memories. And they were really surprised that I was saying, the semi-final was the one. Because actually, by the time they got to the final, I knew they were going to beat Saracens. I was so sure they were going to beat Saracens. But I did not think they'd beat Leicester.
It's that, I was going to say, even thinking about it has hairs on the back of the neck going. Because it was from the minute you walked... parked the car.
Absolutely
from
right.
Walking
it
down,
felt special,
it felt absolutely electric.
So I remember we did a programme. We started, it must have been an 8 o'clock kickoff. So we started at 6 at the Sevens, which is now Salesi Matthews pub.
Yes.
So we were broadcasting from there. I remember
Ironic.
It was packed. The place was packed. Rick Corbisiero was there. I remember having a beer with him, talking to him. Ian Hunter was there. He lost his laptop that night. Left it at the pub. But it's funny, all the details. Remember?
Yeah.
And it was warm. Everyone was drinking. The ground.
It was a beautiful evening.
It was a beautiful. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Was it? That's not just my memory.
It genuinely was.
It was
amazing.
Because you look at the pictures now, and everyone's in shirt sleeves, aren't they?
Can I ask you to just move? I think
Sorry.
He's getting excited. And
I am.
Falling. He's still here. It was a perfect May day and May evening, and I'd been on a training course in Leicester. And I said, I've got to go because.
But it was perfect for a commentary perspective as well. It had everything, because it had the controversy, it had the depth. It wasn't that controversial, was it?
I guess who you sat next to?
Who was I sitting next to?
Dr. Jones.
Was I?
Yes, and Tim's memory of that game is you became quite overcome by what we were seeing, so you actually offered Tim the microphone.
Did I? I don't remember that.
And said, "Would you like a go?" And Tim's response was, "No."
I don't remember that. I remember Tom Vickers. I call him Tim Bockers, but Tim from the Cron was sitting there as well. And I remember saying at half time, the two of us said to each other, well, I won't use the exact word, but we said they've blown it again. It felt like
I was confident.
I didn't think they'd blown it.
There we go.
No, I didn't think they'd blown it.
I went. Strange things you remember, because I went to the loo and suddenly that Black Eyed Peas Water.
Oh God!
That song that they always play, but that leapt into my head. And it was still quite new then, wasn't it? And I came back, sat in my seat, and I said to my husband, "It's okay, we're going to do this."
Well,
and he looked at me. I went, "No, it's fine."
It's the other abiding memory I have, aside from the amazing game and the incredible try and everything else. I remember how I'd never seen Lennie and Ian as emotional, and that's how much it means to the club, because they're two people who are absolutely Saints through and through, and Lennie they both had tears in their eyes at the end of that game, it was extraordinary the wave of emotion that went through Franklin's Gardens that night. It was special. It was really special, and they captured that again. We reflected last night, even that game against Toulon just before Christmas. You think, there's a little bit of an echo, isn't there? In our heads? That's the noise I remember.
Yeah, that was again the atmosphere in that game was from the time you got there. It's this.
Sometimes you just know it's special, don't you? At Franklin's Gardens.
There's a little crackle.
There is. Yeah, there is.
You just think, here we go. Here we go. No, throughout that game, I didn't think we were going to lose, even when the red card happened.
Yeah.
I just thought, Well, I didn't see it, so I didn't see
it right in front of me.
Well, I was going to say it must have been right in front of you because, of course, I was in what's now the Tom Wood
corner. Tom Wood corner.
Yeah.
So I'd say I was thinking about this recently. Actually, you asked me for one game. I think I've got that is my number one, but I've probably got a triumvirate now because there was a game between London Irish and Wasps in about must have been about 2007. Do you remember they played at Wickham?
Yes.
And Irish won is something like 54-48. It was an incredible game. And Brian Smith, who was director of rugby at the time, had this wonderful attacking philosophy, much like Saints have today. And everything clicked that night. And it was Mike Katz was on another level, Shane Garrity and Topsy Ojo, Tanya Fackenbauer. It was a great time. Selesi Mapasua, Selana Mapasua. So that was my other. But then I've always had those two as my two favourites. But I would now say Saints against Munster in Limerick is probably the third part of that, because that again was an unbelievable game of rugby.
That as an achievement was to go to Munster
to win, to be that bloody minded to win when you're down to 14. It was in the conditions.
Conditions. I genuinely, anybody, those who weren't there, you cannot. I mean, I've watched it back on television, and it just does not convey the strength of the wind. The deluge that happened certainly in the second half of the second half, because the rain came on and off and on and off.
And when it came on, it wasn't just a little shower, was it?
Yeah, here we go. Irish rain.
And Thomond Park is designed to be a wind tunnel,
it is like a tunnel.
Yeah.
So and Saints, I think George made that ballsy call to go into the wind in the first half.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember if we were talking to you about this, but we saw Lennie and I saw not Richard Cockerell. What am I saying? Graham Roundtree at the airport. He was on our flight home.
Yes.
And Lennie knows Graham Roundtree, knows everyone. So he unfortunately for Graham Roundtree, he's on a flight with packed full of Saints supporters.
That's not unfortunate. That's karma.
He had a smile and he came out and Lennie said, bad luck, mate. And he said, as soon as they won the toss and played into the wind, I thought they mean business. It was a huge call, but you could see how that resonated straight away. It was a great call psychologically now, because it defies all sporting logic. Normally you play with the conditions, but it was a huge call and they nailed it, didn't they?
Yeah, and they did exactly the same at Exeter. But the thing with Exeter was the conditions they were actually quite benign
compared to Munster,
and actually quite benign for Exeter. I remember thinking at the time, thinking, oh, that's a big call. Of course, when you go 26-0 down, it's even bigger. But no, that match, I know, I put that match.
It's right up there, isn't it?
It's right up there. Yeah. It was, I mean, my abiding memory of that game is the poor television cameraman sat next to me, because all his TV company gave him to keep his lens clean was a box of tissues.
Oh, nice.
So he basically ended up with papier mâché at the end of the game. So, it's a brilliant, brilliant game. And I need to give you a photograph, because I photographed you interviewing George at the end of the game, and I keep meaning to send
in the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
Oh, I'd like that. Yeah, I would like that.
So you've got a record of actually...
we were standing in the tunnel as well. I'll tell you something else that happened while we were in the tunnel waiting. Lennie's phone started ringing, and it was Chris Boyd.
My goodness.
So Boyd was back in New Zealand watching the game, texted me and I replied, said I'm in the tunnel, and immediately he rang Lennie, and they had a good old chat, and Lennie said it was like talking to Boydie when he was still the director of rugby.
Oh, wow.
So he said, what do you think of the game, Boydie? And most people say, it's a terrific game, and he just answered like he was still doing an interview. But he was back home.
Sunday morning then, wasn't it?
It was very early hours.
Yeah, in the middle of the night.
And he wished he was there. He was longing to be there, having a Guinness with Lennie.
Well, life can't be that bad in New Zealand, surely. So, next question: who is your role model? I'd say as a commentator, and maybe you have a sporting role model as well.
Bill McLaren.
No, got to be.
Again, that's quite easy. I think if you're a rugby commentator, I grew up with him. I grew up listening to him.
So if you just have been a rugby fan of any age,
and he was There's been no one like him. There's still some very good commentators today. Nick Mullins is great on the TV, really, really good. Andrew Cotter's very good. But everyone would say Bill McLaren. I think anyone in broadcasting. I
think the thing about Bill McLaren was he knew when to be quiet, didn't he? He knew when to just let the action was speaking for itself. And
none of us can ever be Bill McLaren. In his turn of phrase would sound cliched from anyone else, but from Bill McLaren was magical. But I think the one thing, and I've read his books, and I interviewed him. I was lucky enough to interview him as well. But the one thing I tried and to take from him is that he loved rugby. He loved the game, even if it's a poor match. He was able to retain that enthusiasm because it's a privilege what we do to sit there and to commentate, the best seat in the house, and get paid for it. And so I try never to be mealy-mouthed about it. I should always be grateful for what I do, and grateful for what those 46 players are now trying to do for us.
Yes,
sometimes we all get grumpy with poor decisions or poor execution. But you always try and be enthusiastic and love the game because it is a game ultimately.
The clue's in the name, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite hard to believe sometimes when Saints have lost and you read some of the message boards and you think, can I just write
I find it so disheartening. It's that's one of the worst aspects of modern life is social media.
I agree.
And we all get it. We all get criticised and. We'll get messages, and I'll tell you what happens if people criticise us, and they do. And, I've got to be thick-skinned enough to take that. But if you reply to them, they almost always back down.
Yeah,
because they don't think we're real people. They think we're just.
Are you?
Well, we are. But it's easy on social media, especially, to assume it's just.
You're just a voice.
So you tap, and you go. If you reply and say, well, that's not very nice. They go, I'm really sorry, don't pay any attention to me, I'm just being grumpy. Well, don't do it in the first place then. You know.
There was a classic case recently with Lewis, wasn't it? When he actually answered back, and I've never seen backpedaling that fast.
Exactly.
And the young man was absolutely mortified.
Call him out. Yeah. Call him out.
Yeah, he was absolutely, and he apologised.
He did. I think people get confused. So it might be something you might say to your mates in the pub, I thought so.
Yeah, well,
like a drain.
But that's the difference. It used to be in the pub, didn't it? But it used to be a loudmouth in the pub would say it.
You might say it to your friends.
Yeah.
And, everybody knows it's just because you're grumpy because of the result. You wouldn't broadcast it to everybody.
And that is the difference. We've all been guilty of it. I know, I go and watch the football with my son and I'll be standing next to him and I'll be saying, what the hell's Rashford doing? Useless. What a waste of money.
Yes.
I don't mean it.
How much are we paying him?
And I'm not going to WhatsApp him I'm not going to find him on Twitter
and send him that. Yeah.
No, exactly.
There is a famous example though where actually a player did call somebody out. I'm just trying to remember it properly. It was at Waterloo, and it was the mighty Tim Rodber.
Oh right.
Yes.
So you actually physically called him out.
Yeah. So somebody has a go at Rodber, saying, "Come on, Rodber, you can at least try."
Oh yeah, brave. That's brave.
Yeah.
To which Rodber looks at this guy and goes, "All right, my boots. Do you want them?" And I go, "Oh no." To which Dr. Jones goes, "Oh, I will."
Yeah, he's a good man, Tim Rodber, isn't he? You don't mess with him.
Yeah, the mighty Tim. On that note, we'd like you to choose. And you don't have to pick a current player. I'm going to be kind to you here.
Okay.
I know it's really hard. You can't, in your role, you can't do that. I'm being too kind, aren't I?
You are.
Yeah, well, your favourite rugby player of all time, but your favourite Saints player of all time.
Well,
are they one and the same?
Well, it has to be someone I've seen play, I think, because otherwise I'd say Mobbs, or Blackiston, or Swan.
I say exactly.
He'll
say Blackiston.
Yeah, so I can't say any of them.
No, you can't. It's got to be somebody you've seen.
Right. Well, I suppose it's not necessarily the best player, but it's like the formative years. So the 80s and 90s was my formative years, and Wade Dooley was so Blackpool big. Tower. From Blackpool, and we used to. Well, he played for and Fylde. He moved between the two, but I suppose Wade Dooley was the first real England player that came on my radar. Will Carling was pretty soon afterwards, and his team. But we used to see Wade Dooley on the beats in Blackpool, so it was quite a big deal. You know, it was obviously in the amateur era, and he was just he was this mighty colossus, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Incredible. I mean, you stand him next to second rows today, you probably wouldn't see him that big. No. But he seemed like a giant in every sense. And so to a schoolboy from Blackpool, to see him on the beat was incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
And he was a rarity then because he wasn't playing in the top leagues, although the leagues
No,
were
well,
fairly early.
yeah.
He was, filed and
stuck with it.
And Hoppers were, in the
He was more Preston than filed, but he
Yeah.
played for both.
Yeah.
So I suppose
wonderful clubhouse at Hoppers.
Yeah, well, two great clubs.
You can stand in the bar with a pint at Hoppers and watch the entire game. You don't need to go outside.
Oh, it's a sort of that.
Which,
like
given
that
the
sort
rain,
of clubhouse.
yeah.
I
No,
like that sort of clubhouse.
So probably Wade Dooley, just for what he represented. But then, then fairly soon after that, it'd be, do you remember Dowie Morris, Nigel Heslop?
Yes.
Because we used to go and watch Oral quite a lot. That was
Yeah.
my uncle was from Wigan, so we used to go and watch Oral. So those Oral players became, important players. Do you remember the '91 World Cup's quarter-final in Paris when England beat France in Paris? And Nigel Heslop got really badly beaten up by Serge Blanco right at the start of the game.
Yeah.
And I would have been 15 then, but I just remember the outrage.
Yeah.
That's Nigel. He wasn't even that big, Nigel.
No,
Heslop.
he wasn't. It was completely. He was really done over by the playground bully, wasn't he?
He was, but he did hit Blanco very late when you watch what actually happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Blanco got his own back then.
Yeah.
so I picked out all the Northern players, I think.
Yeah, so now you have to pick out a Saints player.
Ian Hunter.
Ian Hunt. Oh.
It's because the era is again, isn't it? Ian Hunter.
One of my very first games, I remember sitting next to Ian, and he was putting his boots on, and it was against Saracens of all teams, because one of our mates, Tim and I used to both work for Ford, and Brian Davis would have been the scrum half.
Yeah.
And Ian was putting his boots on, and he ran out, and he was the most elegant runner.
Yeah, and again, because I didn't see much of Saints back then, but so you relied on Rugby Special with Chris Ray on a Sunday afternoon, and it just seemed to be Ian Hunter every week running in tries from all corners. So he was the first Saints player that was really on my radar in a big sense. Obviously there was, Rod Burt at the same time in Bayfield, but Hunts was the one who was appearing on the telly scoring tries.
Yes.
And enjoying himself.
But looked totally different, because he was a professional rugby. He looked like a professional rugby player when everyone else was amateur around us.
Yeah.
So I don't tell him that, but it's Hunts.
No, nobody knows.
No, it's not as if anybody's listening.
Of course, now I've got to know him and realise what a grumpy bastard he is.
Ian Eeyore.
He gave me a very nice hug at last year's lunch. He's lovely.
He's not that grumpy, really.
He's not grumpy.
No, I think he just brings a dose of realism in sometimes.
Well, and it's all born from a deep love of Saints.
Absolutely.
He desperately wants them to win every week.
You can tell.
Yeah.
You can absolutely tell.
So, right now on to nothing saintly at all, but this is a running thing about what's your cake of choice.
Cake?
Yeah,
Lemon drizzle. Yeah, easy,
There you
come
go.
on.
This is your woman.
Yeah, can you make a good lemon drizzle?
Can this woman make a good lemon drizzle?
Well,
Queen of lemon
okay.
drizzle.
Right, well, I expect to see one, please.
Okay.
I expect you know where I live.
Well, no, I don't. But
Well, you know what? Drop one off at the studio, it'll be fine.
yeah, I was going to say that's what I had a shameless request for a meeting from the foundation. Something that could have been sorted out by email because they wanted my lemon drizzle cake.
There we go. Well, that's good endorsement.
Yeah.
That'll do for me.
Yeah, so I'll get you. You'll have lemon
You
drizzle.
might not know this, but currently band Hooker is powered by pikelets.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
My
Yes.
homemade pie.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Outrageously, you attempted to steal your pasty the other day.
Yeah, that was
just
really
out
that
of order.
that could have gone horribly wrong. That could have for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, the second question: if you are a pikelet eater, what do you put on your pikelet?
Well, I'm not really. What's
There you go.
a pikelet's like a little. It's like,
A flat crumpet.
Yeah,
it's like a Scotch pancake, isn't it?
But no, it's
No.
it looks like a Scotch pancake, but it isn't. It's same as a crumpet
So you
batter.
put a bit of jam on it, do you?
So you can put what you like
I'll
on it.
go for some dams and jam.
Dams
That's it.
and jam.
That's sophisticated.
The king of jams.
The king of jam.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Green Gage, I think, is actually a reine claude that you get in France,
Right.
and you can't get it here. So every time I go to France, and I was in panic when we went in September because couldn't find any. I thought, oh my God, it's been banned for some reason. But then when we went back, I found some, and that is beautiful.
I'll look
So
out for it.
Green Gage
Yeah.
is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, that sounds good.
So yes, So do you want to ask Lennie's question next?
So we're going to ask Lennie's
Oh,
question.
Lennie gets to ask some
Yeah.
questions.
Only
well,
one.
Okay,
Well,
fine.
we did make the jibe about
We did,
being
yeah.
Lancaster.
Yeah,
we've,
that's fine.
we've stuck in the
Yeah.
supplementary.
Lennie's question. I actually think he's being very kind to Graham.
I think he is.
Now, we all know you like the war.
Right.
So Lennie's question is, if your hobby wasn't being a military historian,
Yeah.
what would it be?
What would my hobby be?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's very difficult.
He looks bereft.
Yes.
Everybody, he looks bereft.
So you asked me
It's
what
panicking.
else?
There's panicking.
What else do I like to do? Or
Well, you know,
But I don't
bridge
know.
or-
I'm a bit worried about Lennie thinking that military history
yeah,
is a hobby, because I
Not really, yeah.
see it more of a calling.
yes, I
And I
agree
think
with you.
if we asked your wife whether it
So-
was a hobby, she'd have something to say.
So I think when I've retired, I would quite like to be a beekeeper. How about that?
Ooh.
Beekeeper.
Yeah, that's a hobby that appeals to me. Yeah, I had family members who were beekeepers up in Scotland, and they made the most incredible honey for one thing. Well, the bees did, but
Clever family.
Yeah, very clever.
But also, so for a long time when I worked at Radio Berkshire, I worked with a man called Henry Kelly. Do you remember Henry?
Oh, yes, yeah.
The Irish,
Windfall
exactly
Gold?
right. And he had a theory that when I was producing him, if we were ever short of a guest, he'd say, just get me a beekeeper, because beekeepers are never boring.
Yes.
And it was right. We had a network of about a dozen beekeepers. If we're ever short, I'll give such and such a ring. And they always had a story to tell. They were always interesting people. So I would like to be a beekeeper. Yeah.
Well,
Well
that
done,
came
Lennie.
out of
That's-
left field. That was a really good
Yeah,
question.
well done, Lennie, there. That's a good one. Now, the last question.
Yes.
Because we haven't got much time.
You're all right. We're okay. Yeah.
No,
Right.
we're not. We actually haven't got much time
Okay.
on this for a very good reason.
Right. Okay.
Because we could be a long list, but
Right.
we're only allowed to choose one.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether we could use the term favourite,
Yeah.
but we're going to. What's your favourite battle?
Battle.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you only have 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a difficult thing to say because, you know, we're talking about like where thousands of people are dying.
I know, that's why I said
Yes,
the
favourite.
word favourite, doesn't
Yeah.
the
Most
most
interesting.
interesting, the one that is compelling. It could be the shortest.
the
Wasn't
Somme-
there a battle that lasted 45 minutes? It was a war that
So
lasted 45 minutes.
I've got to
Anyway.
think about this.
That was in Gulliver's Travels.
I'm going to say, all right, so look, so you know my friend John Cooksey and I spent many happy
Yes, you
hours
do.
walking around battlefields. And so that's always got a very incredibly special place in my heart. And I think of all of the battlefields that we did together, Gallipoli is the most incredible place. Because, well, look, the Somme, Passionate, all the First World War battlefields I'm talking about, and Normandy as well, we did with Boydie. But Gallipoli, we actually did several times. We did it with Foden. We did it, I don't know, we must have gone there 3 or 4 times. It's a long way to get to. It's so remote. It takes a lot of effort to get there. And it's so evocative. It's so, unless you've been there, it's really hard to explain. The Australian beaches, Anzac, is a lot of people go there. A lot of Australians go there. Backpackers go there and visit. And it's very kind of sterile, you know, it's because you can see that there are, you know, everything's set up for the tourist industry. But you go to the British beaches, and because the Australians have claimed it at Gallipoli, but it's every bit as much a British, more than the Australians, it's a British battle and it's a French battle. So if you go up to, you know, other parts of Gallipoli, you go to Suvla Bay, for example, where the British landed in August. It's so quiet and it's so hard to get to. You have to traipse over roads. The hire car gets battered and covered in dust. And I remember John and I climbed a hill very early in the morning because we wanted to record around the time of the landing. And it's just so beautiful. You can see across the Aegean. You can see the Greek islands in the distance. And all around us, I remember picking up a bit of crockery and saying to John, "What's that?" And he looked at me and said, "Oh, it's a bit of rubbish." And we moved on. There's more of it and more and more. And suddenly the whole hillside is covered in rum jars, the British Army rum jars, which had been left there 100 years ago.
Wow.
And they were pristine. You know, they're broken up,
Yeah.
but they're pristine because of weather conditions.
Yeah.
And to see things like that, if you walk the Western Front, you get used to finding bits of shrapnel and shells and so on. But when you see the rum jars, you think the men were sitting here having their breakfast like we are 100 years on. It's incredibly evocative, powerful place. And then down in Hellas, you go down to the south of the Gallipoli Peninsula. It's only a small place I'm talking about here, but you stand on Hellas, the memorial at Hellas, and think, this is Troy. This is the centre of the classical universe.
Yeah.
We did a book about a man called Frederick Kelly, who was a classical scholar, an Olympic rower who went down to Gallipoli with Rupert Brooke and all these other classicists. Oxford and Cambridge classicists joined the Royal Naval Division. And you can see why for them this was incredible, that they were there in the centre of the Trojan Wars, fighting, in 1915. So it's Gallipoli, in short.
Gallipoli even has its own type of marker.
It does, yes, of course.
Gallipoli marker, its nickname.
And of course, Blair Swan, the great Saints
Yes.
player, has his marker out of Gallipoli as well. And we've been there several times. Yeah, so it's a wonderful place. It's a tragic place. And the beaches, there are signs up, the Turks put signs up saying, although these are beautiful beaches, these are also scenes of, treat them as a memorial, so people don't really swim in the sea there. It's not a holiday resort. And then also there's the famous words of Ataturk all over the place. I can't remember the exact words, but it's just basically saying, you came here as foreign invaders, but you're now our sons. We're looking after you. It's an incredibly powerful place, Gallipoli. So if you ever have a chance to go, I would urge you to do so. Wow.
Right. Well, on that note, I think thank you very much, Graham.
It was my pleasure.
It's
been really nice on the tables turned. Having the questions
you're on the other
asked.
side of the desk.
I quite liked it.
Yes.
Get used to this.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Right.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our cross-examination of Graham. Although, actually, it was quite easy. He just chatted quite a lot, really. And now on to our normal weekly ramblings where we take it upon ourselves to try and find out what's been happening and give us a view on anything, whether it's asked for or not. So, Claire, where shall we start?
Well, I think we should start with the games of the gardens.
I think so.
We had a couple of crackers over the weekend. An East Midlands derby to start with. Loughborough Lightning playing their first East Midlands derby at the Cinch Stadium at Franklin's Gardens against Leicester Tigers women. At the first one, yes. And, sadly a loss.
Sadly,
and a funny old game.
It was very strange.
Where Loughborough up front were utterly dominant. Really, really dominant performance by the pack. I thought the second row and the back row in particular were outstanding. I know you have a particular favourite in the front row, but we'll let you explain that.
I do.
Yeah. But so I thought the pack absolutely nailed it. Did a really, really top job of dealing with their counterparts.
Yes.
It all seemed to go a bit Pete Tong when it came out of the pack and headed into midfield and beyond.
It got very bitty in the midfield. It was sort of at the beginning of the game. It was quite fluid and they seemed to know their processes and know what they were doing. And for some reason in the second half, I don't know whether there were any replacements, that it just seemed to get bitty. You felt that scrum half and out half didn't quite know where each other was and they were looking around for players, losing time and losing momentum. That was my take on it. Real shame.
Yeah.
Real shame.
Yeah, and a great defensive display from the Tigers, who doubled up on everybody.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of indecision on the part of the Loughborough women, but actually the Tigers women really did a number.
They were forcing the errors quite often as well, because they weren't giving Lightning time, and Lightning needed time by then, and there was a lot of, I would say panic, but forced errors by Tigers. The Tigers, they did play well and took their opportunities when they were there, and there was one major defensive error that led to a Tigers try come through. Oh, you have.
Help yourself.
And off she goes. I thought you were marking her. Well, I thought it was you. I think there was a bit of that conversation went on, but yeah.
Your woman. Oh. Perhaps not.
Oh, she's gone.
I have to say, though, there was a particular moment that I really enjoyed as a photographer, which was Daisy Hibbert-Jones putting somebody into Next Week.
Yes.
They're getting the sequence of that tackle. Photographers are like, thank you very much, Daisy. We'll have more of that, please. I always love taking photographs of Sadia Kabeya, because when she's rampaging a bit, I think Sadia took one hell of a bang in the first half, which I don't think quite recovered from. And Kath O'Donnell, when Kath O'Donnell and Lily Eves Campion are rampaging, everybody watch out, because the two of them together. I mean, Kath's got that amazing red hair.
Yes.
Good God, they're frightening, those two. Brilliant second row we've got there. But yes, so thank you to Daisy. That was, But a shout out to Rachel Malcolm, who, is a skipper in the I Lead from the Front, and also has fantastic facials. Her reaction to a scrum penalty being given against Loughborough, where we got the full gamut of emotions to Mr. Craig Maxwell Keys. What? Sadly, he wasn't having any of it. But I often wonder with players who do that, is actually you're not really appealing for the offence that's just happened. You're just putting it in mind for the next one.
Yes,
Don't you dare.
Painting the picture, as they say these days. So are these photographs available for the common herd to look at on your Red Hot?
Oh yes, common. Yes. There actually is a link on the front page, so you can enjoy the full glory of Daisy at work and Rachel's reaction. Rachel it's remarkable. I understand she's still doing her university work, so she still tutors Pia, even though she's a full-time professional rugby player now. She hasn't given up the day job.
Excellent.
She's still looking after her students. So fair dues to her. But and it was lovely seeing them in their new black, green, and gold.
Saints. I was going to say they're Saint strip, really.
They're Saint strip, and it looks really good on them. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
Although you and I on Saturday were musing about whether Mr. Maxwell Keys was exactly right letting two teams play in black shorts. That was a bit
that was a bit strange.
But there you go. Yeah. Yes. So you have a choice of player of the match that I can't really fault.
I do. It's quite liberating, because we don't have to take into account anybody else's choice of player of the match, do we, for this? Because wasn't one. So,
well, yes, I did. One of the photographer from Tigers did go up to Pete Nuttall at the end and said, "Is there a player of the match?" And Pete went, "No idea. I haven't been given anything."
No.
So I'm not.
Yes. So the Saints hooker, who, as Dr. Jones said, could have been a scrum half. She was everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Did she score 3 tries? Did she score all the tries?
Yeah, she scored a hat-trick in the first half.
Absolutely cracking player. She's just busy, but it's busy with a purpose. You know, some players are busy and you think, I don't know what you're doing, mate. You're just being busy and not actually achieving anything. She was just busy the whole time, making a nuisance of herself and just fast, rapid. Yeah, very much a hooker in the Saints mould, our current mould of hookers, I think.
Yes.
She was brilliant.
Yes, so Catherine Treader had an outstanding game. Yeah.
So she was my player of the match.
Outstanding game.
By a country mile.
I know, I fully understand that. Oh, also has a great smile. Usually because before she clatters into somebody and flaps.
She did like that.
The tight head... the tight head prop for Leicester. There's one minute where Rachel Malcolm's going, no, not the replacement. I think this is the starting tight head. Absolutely wiped her out in the second half. I did feel for her. She went down, but she got up, still smiling.
She does look like she's living her best life. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and well played. Well played to everybody who turned up. Made it a record, just shy of 2,000.
A record crowd.
Yeah.
Really, really good. It's great to see, and and a good noise, and well done to the Tiger supporters for coming along
Yeah,
good
there
to
were
see a
lots of them.
as we've always talked. Good to hear a travelling support. So
Yeah.
so I think East Midlands derbies are going to get a bit tasty. I
Yes.
feel next season's going to be even better. But it was pretty good this season.
Yeah.
Bedford.
Bedford.
Oh my lord, Bedford. They were up in the northwest playing Caldy. One Sam Dickinson was on the bench for Caldy. Now, given he was at the dinner, more of that
Well,
shortly.
'cause yes.
Yes. I'm not sure what sloshed onto the pitch in the second half, but fair do, Sam. So the Blues went up there. Really tough. Patton Field is a really... I'd love to go up at some point. It's a tough place. Apparently the grass is like old style, yay long.
But
and
do they have a slope?
Scalped a few there.
Do they have a slope?
No.
Well then, really?
No, I don't believe so. But they've got very long grass and a lot of mud. Anyway, the Blues won actually what sounded like a really good game. Several Saints players playing. Well done, Tommy Lockett. There he is again. And Jake Garside came in as a late replacement, so it's good to see Jake back out on the turf.
Yeah.
But well done, winning up there. This was a rescheduled game because it was called off because of a frozen pitch before Christmas. So 4 points in the bag in what is looking an incredibly tight championship.
Very close,
at the
isn't
top.
it? Well done. Putting right the wrongs of the previous week.
Well done. Putting right the right. Now, I said both games at the Gardens. We, of course, witnessed a cracking under-18s game. Yeah. Lots of talent on show from both teams. Saints, Newcastle Falcons were the visitors to Saints. And I thought they played blimmin' well, given basically Saints blitzed them for the first 20 minutes.
Blew them away. Yeah.
Blew them away. But fair dues to them, they didn't give up. They kept going. And
they never got niggly. They never got niggly.
No, apart from there was a bit of a tantrum, which I have to say I laughed, and I shouldn't laugh. There was a bit of a tantrum over one of the tries where they thought we'd knocked on, and it was a real stamping the feet moment.
Oh, I missed that. But...
well, it was in front of me, so I couldn't really miss it.
Yeah.
Yes, there was lots of hooves being stamped. Yes, but apart from that, and you could kind of understand why they thought, but it was given.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. And actually the photograph showed he grounded the ball. And then he knocked it on. And I believe that order says he scored a try.
That order is fine. Yes. Doesn't matter what happens after the grounding. Yeah.
Afterwards. Yes. Yeah. So well done. And another hat trick. Now I'm going to let you say who scored it, given your husband's appalling humour. Ghosting in.
Yes.
I've said it now.
You have. I'm thinking, who was it? Now it's Rafe.
Oh, Rafe.
Rafe. It's a really unusual surname. It's something like Wheat Eat, isn't it?
Yeah, Rafe. Yes, it's Wheat. It's Withiat or it's Witheat.
Yes.
And he scored a magnificent hat-trick. And yes, your husband...
Yeah, my husband said, look, he ghosted through, because he thought Rafe was like Wraith. Just thought I'd explain. It's not always obvious with my husband where he's coming from. So
yes. Yes, but he was the left wing, and he was really excellent. There were some
stunning tries actually.
Stunning tries, and the interplay between it's the Saints DNA again. It's like,
it is.
Oh yes,
very much. One of the
coaches came and sat behind me because Saints did go a little bit off the boil when you blitz a team like that, and Newcastle took advantage of it. But as a result, apparently some of the coaches were getting a bit excited. So one of the coaches came and sat behind me because they were, quote, doing his head in. But they recovered themselves and in the second half pulled away. pulled away. But well done to the Falcons. It's a long way to come. And you put up a good battle there. You've got some good youngsters coming through. So well done. But congratulations to the Saints boys, because it's the third season in a row that they've got to the final. And it's the first season for our new academy coach, who's called Charlie Reid. And Charlie's lovely. He's done a really, really good job. Really lovely chap. And I loved his... Oh, there you go. That was an early one, wasn't it?
Yes.
I loved his comment in the huddle. I loved his comment in the huddle at the end when he said, go make memories. Go and enjoy this. Yeah?
Oh.
Enjoy this moment. Go and see your mum and dad. And I just thought, that is fabulous. That is utterly fabulous. A bit like, Harry not knowing whether he's ever won a game. It had that sort of feel about it. It's about enjoying the game. Yeah. And because for some of these lads, they are playing their last games in GB&G, because if they don't go into the academy, that's it. They're off to go and play in other clubs around the country. So I thought that was a magnificent moment from Charlie.
Hats off to all the mums and dads on the touchline. So the Newcastle mums and dads as well. And there was one lad, his mum and dad happened to be standing next to us, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'll come back with you because it's easier." "Oh, is it?" they said. "Oh yeah, you'll just need to wait for me. I need to go get something from the bus and do this and do that." And you're thinking, you could see them thinking they'd got completely other plans, but anyway,
they were going down the pub until that moment. Yes. So well done. Well done to the Saints lads, because
well done to Hoppers.
But well done
to Hoppers for managing it so well, and good luck next Sunday at Kingsholm.
Yes, good luck at Kingsholm. Sadly, I won't be able to go. I spent all Saturday evening trying to remember what I was doing on Sunday, and I am in London celebrating a family event. So yes, sadly, I will not be at Kingsholm. But, it's finals day, so all the teams play each other in the various, fifth place, sixth type event. But Saints are in the final.
Excellent.
So
brilliant.
Here's to a glorious victory. Or if not, just enjoy it. I think Charlie's sentiment is absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment, because it's really important. Talking of enjoying the moment...
Mr. Dingwall.
Mr. Dingwall... He scores in the corner. He goes to celebrate, and his legs stop working.
Oh dear!
I got cramp in both legs, which is why I fell over.
Yes, so I end up crawling around. Oh, bless him!
80,000 people. Bless him.
Yeah.
Well done, Dingers. You've had to wait a long time for your chance, but you've taken it. So absolutely fair dues.
A lot of in and outing.
Grim struggle of a game. Oof. A lot of in and outing. He's been in umpteen squads. It was a bit of a struggle of a game.
Yes.
It was a bit of a hard watch. Please, referees, just ding them if they can't get themselves up. Not dingers. Don't ding dingers.
No.
If the packs really can't get their ping. No, yes, ping rather than ding. If the pack can't get its act together, or both of them can't get their act together to get scrum away, then ping them. George Ford, go and learn the flipping laws of the sport. It's move in any direction. It has been for ages. Just ask Joe Simmons and Ollie Sligo.
Yeah.
It happened in the World Cup as well. Didn't France against the
Ramos.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah.
So no, George, I'm not having the "it doesn't make sense" routine.
Although having said that, Dan Bigger, who you think would never come out on the side of George Ford when playing Wales, said he thought it was still part of his setup because he stopped again. So
you can't do that. You can't do it. Just ask Joe, because it was that single tiny movement of Joe Simmons that meant Ollie was off like a rocket and kick the ball off the tee. Yeah, they've got to learn. And England actually are careless now because we've had Owen Farrell running down the clock.
And down the clock.
We've had George doing this. They need to. Yeah, they need to tighten up a bit.
No, what
because...
they need to do is get rid of those two and put Finn in. That's all they bloody well need to do. And then we wouldn't have any of those shenanigans because he doesn't waste energy doing that. Also, it might mean the centres and the wings might see the blasted ball. And breathe.
And breathe.
And breathe.
At slightly faster speed. I mean, and did you notice, was it Crowley, who's playing for Ireland, scored his first senior try for Ireland? Not Leinster, for Ireland. And yet we're saying, oh, Finn's, you know, he's a bit
It's not
young.
right. Not right. Yeah.
You know, the machine... I mean, I know they played Sexton until he was 97, so they weren't really, you know, given the choice. But seriously, guys, really... I mean...
And also, the fact that you've got the partnership with Mitch... that just works so well. Stop it, Steve Borthwick, and get rid. If you want to win with anything, rather than I'm spent. I'm spent now. Yeah.
She's in rant mode.
Yeah, I've just had
right. Everyone knows that. Anyway, we do have a congratulations to another saintly connection, don't we?
We do.
Holly Davidson. Yes, who was the assistant referee on Saturday. I think she was the first woman to be an assistant referee in the Six Nations. So, well done her. And she, of course, is the partner
Has Joy
of
never
our
done
Helen
it?
Nelson. Oh.
Has Joy
No,
never
she's
done
been the TMO.
Oh, well, yeah.
No.
Brilliant.
TMO.
Yes.
No, she's never run the touchline. Apparently so. Somebody
Well
will
done,
correct
Holly.
us. Do below if we're wrong, but I don't
Yes,
think so.
yes.
They were making a bit of a thing of it. Well done, Holly. Yes, and as I say, the saintly connection is Loughborough. Loughborough's outside centre. No, inside centre. Get it the right way around. Helen Nelson.
Brilliant.
So, who was playing on Saturday. That must be a bit weird. You know, what do you talk about when they get home? I want to talk about England-Wales. Well, actually, no, Helen probably didn't want to talk about what happened
No,
to Charlotte.
there probably was no... Well, I played. Let's move on. How did you get on?
Myself.
Yeah. Yes, tell me about your day. You don't need to hear about mine.
Yes.
I think was probably the what went
where
on.
it ended up. Yes. Of course, on Friday night at Bath, in the Bath.
Yes.
Oh my God!
It was raining.
Anyway,
how unusual.
Oh, yes. A memory came up, as you probably saw on my Facebook page, saying about a match I took some mates to where it was a deluge at Bath.
Doesn't narrow it down.
As Simon Robinson, our dear friend, as our dear friend Simon Robinson said, Smurf said, "Oh, what a surprise! It's raining at Bath."
Yes.
Anyway, England under-20s took on Wales under-20s. I don't think we can recommend this tournament enough because both sides again, cracking rugby, and Saints players played a huge part in it.
Huge part again.
Again. Archie McParland at last made his debut after the very forlorn Archie that we had the previous
Muppets.
week. Archie
Yay
made his debut.
Yeah.
The full Muppets, and then scored as well. So well done him.
He
He gets a
did.
meat pie and his debut. So well done him. Craig Wright was just everywhere. Blooming heck, that guy's got an engine.
Saints Hooker.
Motors.
Saints Hooker. Rapid in the way.
Another Saints Hooker. They could all slot in everywhere, couldn't they? And Toby Cousins. My God, that move through the midfield. Henry Slade. Note. Yeah. Toby, another one, huge pace, and put, I think it was Wells away to score in the corner. So, yeah, well done. And then, of course, it's him. The man...
Henry Pollock. Henry Pollock. Well, and he is just amazing. Just
Although
amazing.
apparently, without putting you under the bus, Hoppers was not happy with his performance. Thought he could have done better.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, there's always room for improvement.
The Welsh decided that their tactic was going to put 6 men on him.
Yeah,
Which,
yes. would make it.
Which
quite
Henry
hard.
was game. He was still going. There was no,
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But actually, the star of the show in many ways, apart from the 2 matchday 23s, was actually the referee, who was utterly superb. That woman was awesome. Awesome.
Those words that nobody wants to hear. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in you.
Yes.
It was just, You told me in the changing room you could control your teams, or were you just lying? No, we weren't. We're really sorry. We're sorry. So sorry. Go and talk. We will. Go. We're going now. Please don't look. Don't give us the disappointed face, please. Run away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amy Barrett-Teron, I think her name is. She was outstanding throughout the game. I have to say, she controlled them. Yeah. I thought she was utterly outstanding. As was the lady who refereed the under-18s game on Saturday. Sadly, I don't know her name.
I think she was Emma somebody. I think.
Yeah, I don't. Actually, can I have a look? I've got the match report up.
She was absolutely wonderful. She kept up with play, and some of it was really rapid, I have to say.
They were quick.
And seemed to be really good at explaining what was going on, and it was good.
No, I thought she was utterly excellent. No, we haven't got the ref, so well done.
I saw a Twitter from one of the
refereeing team. They clearly enjoyed it, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that's excellent, and fair dues. Let's hope the refereeing team get as much out of this tournament as clearly the players do. So, but Henry got his next player of the match. He's collecting them.
Second player of the match. 1, 2.
It's like Green Shield stamps. He's putting them in a book.
Yes.
She said, dating herself.
They did rather. I have no idea what you're talking about, of course. I'm far too young. Yeah. Anyway, moving swiftly on with that line. Media Watch. Well, we've come straight in from Look East. It's a good job I've used up quite a lot of my ranting on Steve Borthwick's selections, because Look East, they managed to mention Dingers and interviewed him and his try and yada yada. That was good. Interviewed Ian Hunter about Dinger's try, and that was quite. And then swiftly, that's right, that's him done. Moving on to Freddie Stewart. Pardon? Sorry. Yes, because he was born in Norfolk, so therefore doesn't play for a team within the Look East catchment area. But hey, never mind. We'll just crack on with him. So it was all about him. And
yes. Well, we could have talked about Henry Pollock, of course. We could have talked about a lot of things. We could have. We could have talked about Loughborough. Yes.
But no,
snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And Hunt, come on. You should have put a little word in for George Fairbank.
Yes. Yeah. No, Look East seemed to think that Freddie Stewart is nailed on to fall back
for the next 800 years.
Until he dies, basically. So, Which
the shirt's his. And all you muppets who fell for that photograph of Freddie Stewart leaping in the air, supposedly above the height of everybody else in the pit. You idiots, it's a composite. No, Freddie Stewart cannot leap single-handedly 10 foot in the air.
Can he not? Oh.
No. Only Courtney Laws can do that. Anyway, so yes.
So Look East, it was impressively rubbish as ever.
Well done to all the photographers who've got a fantastic series of photographs of Dinger scoring his try. We got it from all angles.
They were really good. Yes.
With the back stadium in the background.
Some interesting grimaces on his face, presumably as the cramp took hold and he realised he couldn't stand up.
Yes. Yes. He was going to be wandering around on his knees for a few seconds. Yes. But yes. But well done, Dingers. Top work. And England are 2 from 2. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And we had all good news last week.
We did have some cracking news last week. So young George Hendy, yay! Extended his contract, renewed his contract, whatever they do, re-signed. He's staying with us anyway, which is brilliant news. And he's well on the mend. He's off crutches, out of a brace, everything, hoping to appear somewhere on the line within the friendlies. So that's really good news for George.
Excellent.
And I presume the other hobbling wings will be a similar recovery rate as well. So
I think they're on very, very, very well. And of course, we had the little video that James Ram put out of him, running around doing stuff in the barn, as Mr. Darwin likes to call it.
Yes, loves it when it's called the barn.
It looks like barn. No, I love it. I think it's perfect.
No bulldogs chewing wasps impersonation going on there when you mention the barn.
The barn. Who needs a high performance centre when you've got a barn?
It would have been a lot cheaper if the signage was when Dad said that. I just thought, oh, that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyway,
we all melted at that point. Yes.
And the other great signing is the man who every appearance in Green, Black and Gold he's won.
All 6 of them.
It's
Tarek
all right.
Afar, Saint 2086.
Don't undermine it. It sounds more impressive. Yes, young Tarek.
Well, 6 is pretty blooming impressive, given that if you think it started in Glasgow in that deluge course. I mean, he swam onto the pitch.
He did. He did.
Yes. So and he's grown. And he also played in that brilliant game at Sandy Park. I mean, if you look at some of the victories he's been part of,
he's
extraordinary. So his career has definitely been the roller coaster on the way up.
Yes, he's looks like a very talented young man, I think.
And he's already on England's radar, which is just as well because Joe Marler, aged 86, does need a rest at some point.
He does. So that's good news. So
that's good news. In Photography Corner, well, I'm going to talk about the anniversary dinner later because that was the hilarious Photography Corner of the week. And I ended up with more lenses and cameras at the 2 games because, of course, we started in, I'm not going to say sunshine because we started in rain. What else? Yes. Rain. And it wasn't meant to rain. It was 0% at the beginning of the day. By 10 o'clock, mysteriously, we had rain. So it started in daylight and it finished very much in the dark. So I had the day and the night lenses with me. And it was good fun. Enjoyed it. Lots of photos to work my way through. And the under 18s in particular for the first 20 minutes kept me very busy. So so the TOG gig is going well.
Good.
Walking rugby,
good.
Mrs. Saunders. Out the injury, are you going to be back? Are the S&C guys working on you?
No, nobody's working on me. I've got a tubey grip to remind myself that I've got a poorly leg because otherwise I forget and try and go upstairs too rapidly and stuff. So I won't be back on Thursday because although Callum did suggest, well, you could go and watch. I thought, no, I can't. You just want to join in and I might, probably won't. It didn't happen last Thursday because too many of us were going to the dinner. So it's back on again this Thursday, but I will probably not make it till next Thursday. That is something.
Wow.
The blasted problem of getting old. A, you injure more easily, and B, it takes longer to get better. It's no fun.
Yes.
So and how's Dr. T's walking rugby? So.
Dr. T's walking rugby is going very well, so much so that the cheapskate actually stopped being a cheapskate this week and bought himself some new boots, which he wore on Sunday. And given the weather we've had, across the counties, it's been a bit wet. So he was quite grateful for his studs because I think he'd have been going for a slide. So the grip was much better.
Good.
Unfortunately, he did manage to injure somebody, not because he, tackled them or anything like that. No, he threw a ball and they had to reach for it and then did their back. As you say, it is a sport It is a sport that reveals your age. But he came home
Old and knackered
muddy
people.
and happy.
Oh, with that, like Harry and Toaster
Old
Under
and knackered
Nines.
people.
Muddy and happy. Yeah, Toaster Under Nines didn't have a game.
Muddy and happy. He was a happy. Well, he gets a double bubble with Dr. Jones, because not only does he get to play walking rugby, he gets to go on his bicycle. So, you know,
marvellous.
he's a very happy boy. Man in lycra, comes home muddy and happy. Saint Supporters Club. How are we doing?
Club. We're doing all right. We've had a little flurry of an increase in membership. People wanted to go on the coaches to Harlequins that are getting very popular. So if you want to go on the coach to Harlequins, might suggest you book it. If you join the Supporters Club, it's cheaper. So you know, that's and we are going to have a stand at the open day. Come along and have a chat with us, see what we're all about, see what we're hoping to do in the future. And you'll recognise we have high-vis jackets on. I think they're white. I think we went for white in the end, with Saint Supporters Club logo on and on the back as well. And we will also have some volunteers who are helping the club push people into queues, I think, is the general idea, and marshal stuff. So that's...
Not push people over.
No. No, when I say
you
push people into queues, just like, stay there, you've got a queue there. Yeah, so we're helping support the club at the open day, which is an all-time first, and really good news, really good working together, so, which is what we were, one of the things we were aiming for, so that's grand. So, yeah.
Excellent. And you want, at some point, I'm going to squeal on you. You want to talk to the club about bears.
I do, yes, because not teddy bears, not at all, in fact.
Or Bristol bears.
Or Bristol. Yeah, now there's the thing. Bristol, no, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So, there used to be real bears at Franklin's Gardens. Real bears. Bears that attacked people and stuff. One of them was blind and was very sad.
Bears that were maltreated. A sad tale of Blind Josh.
Blind Josh, maltreated bears, but well-treated bears. Bears coming from Russia that escaped or got lost or something, didn't get there on time. But we had real bears at Franklin's Gardens. And Bristol called themselves bears. And I don't think they've had bears. Well, they might have had them at the zoo, but not at Ashton Gate. And, yeah, I think we're missing that. We need to get the bears included in the history of Saints and Franklin's Gardens.
Yes,
definitely. I'm all for that.
Yes, Blind Josh needs his story needs to be told.
Everybody needs not to have been shot in vain.
Yes, Mr. Franklin, hold your head in shame.
But there's the story about the bears as well, and the man who fell into the bear pit and was attacked by one of the bears, and there just happened to be a member of the militia passing, who was able to... this bear pit doesn't sound terribly secure to me, because he was able to beat the attacking bear about the head with the blunt end of his musket. I don't even... Is that what passed for entertainment in those days? I don't know. But the bears, we need the bear story out there. So
we do.
I've got to... That's my mission. Having,
more bears. More bear stories at the garden.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about the anniversary dinner.
We do. It was very lovely. Got posh frock
jolly
on
gathering.
Jolly gathering.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah.
And I sort of smartened up a bit.
You did.
Didn't wear the red hat.
You didn't wear jeans. Yeah.
No, I didn't wear jeans. No, and I took advice from the red hat, which fortunately everybody said, "Oh no, don't wear it." Yes. Yeah. I get a night off. The hat wasn't too hurt. It was with me, but anyway. Yes, and it was good. Well done, Mr. McKechnie.
Yes, he
did. He did a grand job. He got into it very quickly. Yeah. And we relived that season.
We did. Particularly, there was an inordinate amount of time spent on one particular episode of that season. So it's all right. The punch. Just, you think... Well, as somebody said, he'd just still be serving time now if it happened today. But it got 1 week ban for punching Tom Youngs. Well, I still think my theory is because the whole of it, the RFU went, "Oh, we've wanted to do that. Yes, he's an annoying little tick. Well done, that man. But we've got to look as if we're banning you. So 1 week, marvellous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remarkable. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a jolly evening. It was great to see so many of the lads back, both PC brothers.
Yes.
A Sam Dickinson, who was playing on Saturday, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Don
Dylan.
Dylan.
Don Waldock, Dylan, Ryan Glynn.
Yes. Glinny.
Yes.
Digger. I don't think Digger had to travel far.
No. And gave me a lovely big hug.
I missed talking to him. But yeah,
Luther,
it was
of course, Luther was there.
Luther, yeah. Looking very trim.
Very trim. Yes.
Well, he was telling me he was worried that once he'd given up playing, he'd just run to fat. And I went, yeah, it does happen quite a lot. You see people give up playing. Oh, Digger, maybe. And they just carry on eating what they were eating when they were playing. And, of course, they're not burning off 9 million calories a day anymore. So, so Luther had used his head on that one. So, good.
Tom Mercy and Woody, of course.
Yes.
And Douse. Being a player as opposed to a director.
Loving being just an ex-player.
Being an ex-player. Altering at the back in the photos.
Daisy and Smiler. And, it was a good showing, actually. Good showing.
It was a really good showing. It seemed that the American contingent were the ones that were absent. So your Will Hooley's, your Ben Fodens, your Samu, who apparently couldn't get his paperwork sorted out.
Again, is this not? But also,
classic Samu.
We were talking. My husband and I were talking. Of course, you don't get as much holiday, do you, in the States? So whereas you think if you've got something here, you'd think, well, I'll take a couple of days holiday and go. They have their holiday allocation is so low. You can kind of understand why they didn't. If you've got family as well, you don't want to be spending your 2 weeks holiday allocation, half of it coming over here when you've got kids that you need to see. So I think it's understandable.
We did get a tour of Mr. Foden's latest piece of real estate.
He was trying to sell us an apartment in downtown Manhattan or somewhere.
And what was it, $5 million? Yeah,
I don't
of course,
know.
we'll have to.
I don't know. I lost what he was saying because there was quite a lot of jeering I felt going on. Quite a lot of jeering from his teammates.
Yes, he was getting a degree of stick.
Yeah. So
and the highlight of the evening, which was completely chaotic and very funny, and well done to everybody who donated, who actually won the prize in the auction.
Yes.
Anna did a great job. Anna Wingers did a great job of organising the evening, and Beef did an amazing job with the auction as usual. So people paid some money, quite a significant amount of money, to have their photo taken with the squad. It was utter chaos.
It was.
Human butterflies at work.
Herding cats doesn't even start to describe it.
And then, of course, once you got the players sorted out and the person who won the prize, immediately people go, oh, look, there's all the squad. I'll take a photograph. And stand up in front of me as I'm about to take the shot.
Of course.
Hold back, ladies and gentlemen.
A bit like being a wedding photographer, yeah.
It was, absolutely. Utter chaos, but great fun. And I managed to get everything.
And the food was gorgeous. The food was really good.
The food was brilliant. I think whoever the catering team were, they did a cracking job.
I love watching them bring it out as well. It's like a military operation. The woman who's in charge of it's really good. But the food was I think some of the best I've had at a dinner there, I have to say.
Yes, it was very, very nice indeed. And the lady that was doing it was working very closely with Anna. They were checking the itinerary, so we didn't get behind. If anything, we were running ahead for chunks of it, which is why we could talk to the players as much as we did. Because they ran it so well.
Yes, very good.
So well done to the team for the anniversary dinner. 10 years. Well, let's see what happens this year. And then we've got fingers, toes.
Everything. Whatever you can cross,
anything, yes. So up-and-coming games. This weekend is a bit quiet, except for one very important thing. Very important team. Because it's the Six Nations Fallow Week. So
yes.
But then Lightning aren't playing. The Blues aren't playing. But a very important team are.
Yes.
Which, of course, is our under-18s. who are playing in the final at finals day at Kingsholm. So we send them our very best wishes.
Yeah.
Go and enjoy it, lads.
Go and make
It'll
those
be
memories.
the last time you play together as a group. Go make those memories, as Charlie said to you, because it really is, a really important day. And congratulations for everything that you've achieved so far this season, because you've been a credit to the club.
Yes. Yeah. So, go and have fun.
Well done. And then we are talking to our next guest.
Oh, we are. Yes.
We've got our next special guest next week. Yes. We're talking to them on the 21st of February. So we'll put up the pod shortly after. A very special guest. Am I allowed to say related to the Saints in some?
I think, are we going to give a hint, or are we going to, what? How are we going to, how do you want to dress it up? Should we just tell them, or should we leave them hanging on, or what do you think? Do you want a hint?
I wish we will leave them hanging on, but we will say this is a former Saint who's got a very
saint.
Again, another fascinating. A former Saint's got a really interesting story to tell.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to an old friend who we're really looking forward to talking
Lovely
to.
boy.
So so we will. Really, really nice chap, and we're looking forward to having a chat with him. But hopefully you enjoyed Graham. We thought was an absolute superstar.
Yes, thank you, Graham.
Thank you to Graham for giving up your Friday afternoon. He had some logistical challenges. A bit like mine with the video, but there you go.
Yeah, and just
so, but thank you to Graham.
If there is anybody here who listens to us, who doesn't listen to Graham's Saint show, you're missing a treat, because that is really, it's a beautifully crafted show, isn't it? With him, Lennie and
Top
Graham
quality.
doing the usual nonsense between them. They have some brilliant guests on, and
with occasional Ian Hunter at Colleague Dean's. Yes.
Yeah. Well worth listening. I'm sure everybody does, but it's just only fair to mention that it's nice.
Only fair to mention.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Miss J, has come up with we asked the question and she tried to answer it for us.
Yes.
What do we call those that listen to the pod?
Collective of podists.
And her reply was, people what listen.
People what listen. Yeah,
PWLs.
makes sense. Yeah.
PWLs.
PWLs.
They can't be owls, I pointed out to her, because owls are older and wider listeners for those of us of a certain generation and followers of Jenny, Claire and Judith Holder. So they can't be owls, but PWLs I quite like.
PWLs.
So, all you PWLs
out there. Brilliant. Yeah. And
keep
those
subscribing, keep spreading the word.
Keep taking us to the gym, because I've noticed actually it's not working. I'm not. Well, obviously don't forget I've got a calf injury, but keep taking us to the gym, walks, whatever. Do that when you're listening. But let us know if we need to take on more hydration.
Yes. I was feeling a bit weak last week, so several of you must have been out there doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you again. That was the Ladies Wot Pod.
Episode 14.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.